Okay, in this video, we're going to be factorizing by the AC method. First thing that I always say, students, let us check to see if there is anything common throughout apart from number one. And if we check, we're not going to find a common factor apart from number one. Also, because it's not four terms, then I can't use grouping. So I'm going to use the AC method. So let us list our A, which is the coefficient of the square, which is positive 3. B, which is the coefficient of, in this case, the P, it's normally X, but this is P, which is negative 2, and, and C, which is normally constant, and it is negative 5. Let us find AC. AC means that 3, which is A, times C, which is negative 5, and that's going to give me negative 15. So firstly, what I want to do now is to find the factor pairs of 15, give and take their negative numbers as well. But let's just focus on the basic idea. So the basic idea is 15 times 1 gives 15, and 5 times 3 also gives 15. Since there are no other set of numbers that multiply to give 15, one of these will be able to produce a 2. So normally we look to see which one of these pairs, whether you're adding or subtracting, that could give a 2. And in this case, it's 5 and 3. Now let's take another look. Because my AC is negative, okay, AC is negative. So when AC is negative, one of my numbers will be positive and one will be negative. We normally say, let the bigger number take any sign that B has. The bigger number here is a 5. So since B is negative, then the 5 will be the negative, which means that the 3 is positive. Let's do the checking. These two numbers, when you multiply them as is, they should give you back AC. So negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, which is my AC. Also, if you should take these same numbers and you add them, they should give us our B term. And as you could see, B is negative 2. So it did satisfy that condition. Let us put them in. These two numbers that we find will represent your middle term, which is in this case, negative 2p. So let us go. So this is going to be 3p squared. We're going to put negative 5p plus 3p, and then we have minus 5. So what we want to look at is the fact that these are the two things that we brought in. They are substituting for negative 2. Now, because I have four terms, now I'm going to employ grouping where here are my sets. This is my first group and this is my second group. For the first group, P is the common factor. So I'm going to take P, I'm going to open my bracket, and then I'm going to divide each term in that first group by P. 3P squared divided by P will give me 3P, and negative 5P divided by P is negative 5. Now, what's my common factor here? It's going to be a plus 1. So if I divide anything here by 1, I'm going to get back my 3p and minus 5. Because my two brackets are exactly the same, I'm going to just write back this as a common factor. Open a bracket. And in reality, what we really do is we divide throughout by the common factor, which is 3p minus 5. You could see that it's going to cancel, leaving the p here. And I'm going to divide this by 3p minus 5, because this is my common factor. And when it cancels, I'm left with positive 1. Here is my solution to that question. Let's take a look on another one. Okay, so in this case, we're noticing that there is nothing common apart from number 1 to our A, B, and our C. So A is 3, B is negative 8, and C is equal to 4. Let's see what our AC value is. Be 3 times 4, and that is positive 12. Now, I'm going to list the factor pairs of 12. So we have 12 times 1, we have 6 times 2, and we have 4 times 3. These are the factor pairs of 12 that we are going to be manipulating to get what we want. Now, we want to pay attention to the idea. Remember, the two numbers that I'm looking for will be able to multiply to give me back positive 12, and when I add them together, I will get negative 8. So let's view the fact that whenever our AC is actually a positive number, it's either I have two negative number multiplying, which will give me a positive, or it's two positive number that multiply to give me a positive. So which one of these pair could give me a 8? Well, 6 and 2 could give us the 8. Now the question is, how it is then I'm going to decide, is it two negative or is it two positive? Well, all we're going to do is to look at the sign that B has. So if B is positive, then these two numbers will be positive. But if B is negative, then these two numbers will be negative. And as you see, B is negative. Therefore, these two numbers are negative. Let us do a check. These numbers will multiply to give you back AC. Negative 6 times negative 2 is positive 12. And that was my AC. Also, these two numbers will be able to be added to give us our B value. Negative 6 plus negative 2 is negative 8. Now that we see that we have satisfied both conditions, let us now put them in. So we're using negative 2 and negative 6. So we'll have 3n squared minus 6n minus 2n plus 4. Again, those two numbers actually replace the negative 8. So because we have 4 terms, what we want to do now is we're going to group them and then factorize by grouping. So my first term, my first group, and this is my second group. So what is common for my first group? It's going to be 3n. So I'm going to divide these terms by 3n. So when 3n squared is divided by 3n, I'll get n. And when 6n is divided by 3n, we get negative 2. Now, for the other pair, negative 2 is going to be my highest common factor. And I'm going to tell you why negative 2. Now, the reason why I'm using negative 2 is that I really need to make sure that my bracket comes back to be positive n and a negative 2. As you could see, there is a negative 2n. I really need a negative 2 so that the negatives cancel, leaving a positive n. And for positive 4, when I divide here by that negative 2, I will get a negative 2 coming down. Now let's take a look at our two brackets. Our two brackets are identical. They're both n minus 2. And as you could see, this is now the common factor. So I'm going to take the common factor out, open a bracket, then I'm going to divide these terms by the common factor. Let's take a look. N minus 2 cancels itself. We're left with 3n. N minus 2 cancels itself here. We're left with negative 2. Let's all put it together. This is our solution. Thank you.